Disclosure information. I, the creator of this video, give permission to anyone to use this video for educational purposes. Also, I give you permission to spread the information in this video. And also, you can use this video for non-profit purposes. And I want you to spread the information as well as connect a link to this video to others. Thank you. Gang stalking targeted in America. Just the facts. Now, the reason why I'm doing this video on gang stalking, also known as organized harassment, abuse by proxy, or political repression, is because I'm a victim of this crime, and also because of the New York Times article which discredits targeted individuals, which are people who are victims of this crime, which is sponsored, sanctioned by the state and government, which is a crime that violates their human rights as well as their constitutional rights. Also, the phenomenon known as gang stalking or targeted individuals is now becoming more mainstream as more targeted individuals are exposing this crime against humanity. And I feel that the New York Times article was a way to discredit these targeted individuals. So by the time they reach mainstream or bring more awareness to this crime in public, they'll be discredited and look as crazy. I feel this is a way of the system or the government to discredit us through the media. That's why I had to prepare this video and make this, and that's why I prepared factual information on the phenomenon known as gang stalking, because of the New York Times article, which is trying to discredit targeted individuals to try to make them look crazy. And also at the same time, I feel that targeted individuals are not presenting the information properly or using the proper terms to describe what's really going on to them. So at the same time, they make themselves look crazy. But that's why I presented only factual information and the real terminology that should be used to describe this phenomenon known as gang stalking or organized harassment. Because once we present the information properly as well as the facts, we can actually expose this crime. Also, it's not just the New York Times that have been discrediting targeted individuals. Through other forms of media as well as social media, there have been a campaign to discredit targeted individuals. But I have factual information, keyword factual information, that proves everything is true, from the gang stalking, the air stalking, as well as the electronic harassment and other components of this program, which is used to violate an individual's constitutional and human rights. Also, I will show you how this form of proactive policing, whether it's done on a local, state, federal, military, or a state-sponsored proxy level, contradicts itself. I will use examples from the recent Orlando shooting to show how this program contradicts itself and how it's not meant to prevent crime, but more to entrap and agitate to create crime. Also, I will get down to the facts to let you know what this program truly is: a form of covert policing using known unethical methods to neutralize, take down, entrap, and as well as cause devastating effects on a targeted individual's life using government mediums and resources integrated into this form of policing. Furthermore, I feel that targeted individuals are bringing more awareness to this topic known as gang stalking and organized harassment. I feel that these recent articles are meant to demoralize us and make us think we're not bringing any awareness. But the fact that they wrote this article means that we are. So I feel that we have to get on board on YouTube and start presenting more facts and trying to rationalize our story by presenting also factual information about the way they're attacking us and also our video evidence. So we are making a difference. So we have to actually go more harder in presenting our evidence and bringing more awareness to this topic. And how could I tell that we're making a difference? Because right now, as I'm making this video, I'm being gang stalked right now. So what does that tell you? Also, as targeted individuals, we have to come up with solutions on a targeted individual level, as well as link up with other targeted individuals, as well as get solutions from our government, whether it be on a state, local, or federal level. But I will explain that deeper in the video later. 10. Definitions and terminologies. The definition of gang stalking, organized harassment, and covert harassment is a systematic form of harassment and control done by a group of people in an organized fashion to unethically use an unethical means to harass and control somebody, to have devastating effects in that person's life. Now, those devastating effects I'll explain deeper later on. Same terminologies that targeted individuals use, such as gang stalking, organized harassment, and covert harassment, those who are perpetrating this attack on us, they don't use these same terminologies to describe the targeted individual or this program of domestic terrorism. These are some of the terminologies that they use, such as human test subject, proactive policing, human experimentation, investigation, military assistant police, and I have the document to prove that. It's from 1984. I will show you that later. Another term they use is research, health codes or health code violations. Another term they use is eugenics program, but that terminology, they don't use that anymore because a long time ago, each state in America had its own eugenics program. So they probably use health and mental hygiene as the proper modern term. Also, another term they use is threat assessment or threat assessment teams or psychological warfare. But since it's illegal to conduct psychological warfare on the public, they use psychological operations. And another term they use is behavioral modification, or they use psychotherapy. And another term they use is psychiatric referrals. And that's why a lot of targeted individuals, like when they use these terms like gang stalking, organized harassment, or covert harassment, these are not like legal terms. Like these terms that I explained that the perpetrators use, these are actually documented and legal terms. You can actually find them in legal documents, such as proactive policing. One of the definitions of proactive policing is to have a police presence to deter criminal activities. So that will explain why as soon as you walk out your house, all of a sudden police and ambulance will just zip down, and it happens more than once. Like almost every time when you come out your house, all of a sudden there's like 2 police cars zipping, just flashing their lights as soon as they pass by your house, because that's actually a form of deterring criminal activity. So obviously somebody classified you as a criminal, even though you're not really a criminal. But that's why you have to use these like proper terms, like investigation. Some agency can be conducting a investigation against you, but as soon as you use the term like gang stalking, organized harassment, and covert harassment, these are like layman's terms. Like they don't hold no weight legally. And that's why when you use these proper legal terms, you can help people have a better understanding of what gang stalking is, and also have a better way to explain yourself about what gang stalking is. Instead of saying I'm being gang stalked, you could say I'm being harassed and have my rights violated through proactive policing, or through an investigation, or because of health codes, or because of a threat assessment evaluation, or through threat assessment teams. Because when people look up threat assessment teams or human experimentation, or they look up proactive policing or an investigation, these documents will appear in state documents, federal and legal state documents. And proactive policing, investigations, threat assessment teams, they do exist. But when you just say gang stalking, it just shows things from a TI perspective, but it shows the government side of And that's why when you use these proper legal terms, you can help people have a better understanding of what gang stalking is, and you could also explain your case better and bring more awareness to it. Instead of saying I'm being gang stalked, you could say I'm being harassed and have my human rights as well as constitutional rights being violated under the guise of proactive policing or an investigation or through threat assessment teams. Because when you look up proactive policing, investigation, or threat assessment teams, they appear in state documents, keyword state documents, and federal documents. So that would actually prove that the federal government or the state government or local government has some involvement in you being gang stalked. And that's the proper terminology for it. And that's the problem with a lot of targeted individuals. Like, we're using these like layman terms, and these terms don't hold no weight legally. So instead of using these terms like gang stalking, we got to start using these proper terms, because these terms appear in legal documents, federal, state, and local legal documents. Also, when you look up proactive policing, you'll find that the tactics that are used in proactive policing are similar to the tactics that the perps use in gang stalking. That also applies for threat assessment teams. There are many people who are wondering why they've been gang stalked for so many years. If you look up threat assessment teams, you'll realize that they could decide for how long they want you to be on this watch list or this threat assessment list. Also, if you look up human experimentation, they could actually conduct experimentation on you if you consider it a threat to yourself, and also health code violations too. Like, all these tactics that these proactive policing, investigation, and health codes and threat assessment teams use, they are similar to tactics of gang stalking. But when you keep saying gang stalking, all you get is the TI perspective. But when you say proactive policing, or threat assessment teams, that's more valid. Like, you can actually look at the documents for these government procedures, and they describe the same thing that the perpetrators use when they gang stalk the targeted individual. So that's why. And then you match the documents together to prove that. Also, one more proper terminology that the perpetrators of this attack use are occupational health codes. Keyword occupational health codes. Look that up, because when you look that up, you realize most of these programs are being done by the state. A few of them are actually being done by the federal government, and some are rarely done by the military, and also some can be done by proxies, which are sponsored or sanctioned by the state, federal government, or the military to do such. I'll explain later in this video. Now, the purpose of gang stalking, those who sanction and sponsor the attack or declare this attack on you, they want you to either become homeless, commit suicide, be institutionalized, or in jail, or they're using you for behavioral modification study, or to discredit you, or to leave you destitute, or to kill you in a way that cannot be traced to them. And they do this through provocation, trying to set you up, controlling and interrupting your life to guide you to do something outside of your nature. And they do this through provocation by constantly. Now, gang stalking attacks many aspects of a targeted individual's life, such as financial. One financial attack is to make you lose your job by having people who already work there coerced or persuaded to harass you or mob you, or to cause little trouble with you at your workplace. Or they can insert people there for the sole purpose, under the guise of an investigation, or to keep an eye on you, to mob, harass you, or psychologically abuse and harass you, or to spread slander and defamation on you covertly. And another way they financially attack you is to have you spend money repelling this attack, such as moving or buying equipment, such as to protect yourself from the electronic harassment and other forms of attacks and other various financial attacks to stress you out financially. Gang stalking also attacks the social aspect of a targeted individual's life. This is done by damaging the relationships of friends, family, and associates of the targeted individuals. This is done by spreading slander and defamation about the targeted individual to his friends, family, and associates. It can be done the other way around by spreading false information to the targeted individual about his friends, family, and associates to him. This in turn will make the targeted individual not trust anybody. This is a way to isolate the targeted individual, and thus in turn, if the attacks are severe, the targeted individual will in turn not trust anybody and isolate himself or herself. In turn, you do the perpetrator's job for free, and that's what they want you to do. Gang stalking also attacks the physical aspect of a targeted individual's life. One way this is being done is through microwave or directed energy weapons. These devices can cause pain and physical trauma to the targeted individual. I will explain this later on in a deeper manner in the video. Another way they cause pain and physical trauma to the targeted individual is through covert drugging. This is done by covertly adding drugs or poison to the targeted individual's food, drink, or anything that comes into physical contact with the targeted individual's body. Another way they cause physical trauma to the targeted individual is by creating an artificial stress in the targeted individual's life. A targeted individual already has his natural stress to deal with, but by constantly harassing him and agitating him, they create an artificial stress that causes physical stress, pain, and trauma into the targeted individual's body. So it's like you have your natural stress to deal with, and then also you have this artificial stress that is being induced onto you against your will by these perpetrators by constantly harassing and attacking you. And stress also has a physical effect on the body in the long term. Also, gang stalking affects your psychological, spiritual, and moral aspect of your life. This is done by constant harassment. They constantly follow you everywhere you go. You can go to the store, you can go outside your house, you can go to the park, and they will constantly follow you. And also, the dirty mind games that they do. These dirty mind games are to reduce one's morale and keep one in a constant spirit of fear. Also, it attacks the targeted individual's peace of mind. The targeted individual is constantly wondering, why are they doing this to him or her, or who's doing it, when did it start, and why they're doing it. Also, when the gang stalkers attack you spiritually and morally, they will constantly harass you. This in turn, if you do not understand the deeper meaning of this attack, it will turn you into a cold-hearted person. Do not let their attack turn you into a cold-hearted person. This is to neutralize your natural personality, and you will become a cold-hearted person. So understand that. Do not let their constant ruthlessness and meanness turn you into a cold-hearted person or shut down your natural personality. I repeat that. Now, how do you get into this program? There are many ways you get into this program. One of the many ways is through a threat assessment. So basically, someone made a referral about you, and now this threat assessment team, whether it be state, federal, or city, will conduct an investigation on you, and they will come up with a plan to how to assess and control you if they deem you as a threat. And they could keep you on this list and keep conducting their control plan on you until they deem you no longer a threat. So basically, they could keep you on this list as long as they want. And you can look this up Now, when it comes to this threat assessment team's plan, they don't really explain specifically or get into details about what this plan is. And basically, this plan is the gang stalking program, what the TIs or targeted individuals would refer to as gang stalking. And the thing about it is, when you look this up, the threat assessment team or their plan to control their quote unquote threat, they could actually have certain aspects of this plan be given to certain agencies, whether it be a state agency or a federal agency or a private agency. And that would explain like the community watch programs being involved in it, or it would explain why sometimes it looks like religious groups are involved in it, or some other third-party proxy groups are involved in it. So basically, they could actually give certain aspects of the plan or certain tasks of this plan to control you to other aspects or agencies. And that's why some people actually see military planes involved in it, or some federal agency planes involved in it in the air stalking. So basically, they give that aspect, the aerial surveillance aspect, to that agency and so forth. And also another thing with the threat assessment plan is that they never actually informed you or gave you any consent. And that's why some people think it's human experimentation, but in reality it's just a way of controlling you through a threat assessment or their threat assessment plan. So it can't be deemed as a human experimentation, but the same things that could be conducted in a human experimentation can be conducted, but under the guise of a control plan from this threat assessment team. And that's how they loop around the human experimentation. And the thing about it is, they're not going to send you a letter or saying that, oh, we're assessing you, because why would they inform the quote unquote threat that they're doing this to you? You see? Also, another way to get into this program is through health codes or occupational health codes. Because by law, if they deem you as a threat, a quote unquote threat, they have the legal right to actually warn any place that you go to or you're going to work into in advance that you're deemed a threat. So basically, and they could also do this on a community level, like they could go in your community and any place you go and warn these people in advance that you're a threat, even though you're not really a threat. And also they have like people in the local community who are assigned to go to these places to inform these people, or in other situations they could actually go into these locations to keep an eye on you under the guise that you're a threat, because you're under the occupational health codes as being deemed as a threat or on a watch list. Another way you can get into this program is being a person of concern, because they can also conduct an investigation on a person of concern, or the police can report you or add you to a list to watch you, or have a community group watch you. Now, another way you can get into this program is as a child. Yes, as a child. You can be referred to this program as a child through the school system, the medical system, either through the medical system from a health condition or a psychological condition. And as you get older, you get bumped up onto a higher list, either the state threat assessment list or the federal threat assessment list. And they actually will deem you a threat to yourself, because based on the health, school, or psychological referrals that you had when you was a child, and they assume that you might be a threat later when you become an adult. So that's why they put you on this list, and they can keep you on indefinitely. I'll explain this further on later in the program. Now, when you put into this program, when you're a child and now you're an adult, you're basically put into a modern day eugenics program, but they don't use that term. The modern term is Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, each state is going to have a different name. Every state has a health and mental hygiene department, and sometimes it's the city on the city level, they have that too. And what they could do is either conduct a control plan, but really could be experimentation, but under the guise of this control plan from the threat assessment team. I'll explain that further on later in the video. Now, another way to get onto this program is through a government watch list. Now, if you put on this government watch list by a local authority figure, such as a law enforcement officer or a high-ranking person at your job, you're most likely to get investigated by these federal agencies. And these federal agencies, when they investigate you, they will try to entrap you to get you to do something outside of your nature. And that's where the harassment and the agitation comes from. Or they could use the guise of an investigation to conduct all these tactics that are used in gang stalking. Now, another way you can get into this program is through referrals. And one form of referral is known as a involuntary admittance. So basically, someone could put you into a psychological institution against your will for up to 72 hours. And this could be done by either anonymous people reporting you, family members, or the police reporting you. And if the police report you, then it's most likely guaranteed that you're going into that mental institution, because once the police report you, they're like authority figures. That's why. And once you're in this mental institution, they could actually put you on a threat assessment list or a watch list, or report you secretly to these government watch lists against your will. And that's another thing you have to watch out about, because with the gang stalking, one of these perpetrators, when they try to gang stalk you, they harass you and agitate you. And then when you try to defend yourself, you will look like you're crazy. And that's the trick about it. They want somebody who's not a gang stalker to see that. And when to them, it looks like you're acting crazy, but because they don't see the harassment, they don't see the covert harassment, and then they report you, and then you end up in a mental institution from a legitimate non-gang stalking person. So that's the trick you got to watch out for. I'll explain that later deeper in the video. The reason why the gang stalkers are attacking you this way is for many reasons. One reason is for plausible deniability. There's no way this attack can be really traced to them or can be proven, but with time and patience and spreading the word, it will, and soon it will reveal itself. And another way they attack you this way is because they're trying to slow kill you. The slow kill makes it look like you just naturally broke down and eroded from psychological destruction. And it makes it look like you just naturally like broke down, but really they attack you this slow so the liability could look like it's on you. And that's why they do it year after year after year after year. And this is a form of psychological warfare, like after all these years and years and years. So basically, it looked like you just naturally broke down. And also, this is a way to villainize you and make you look like the villain, so they could justify in controlling you or attacking you. So now when the police try to set you up, they could just make it look like, oh, you were just a natural nutcase or anybody. And through the discrediting campaign, they could just make it look like, oh, you're a bad guy, you're a villain. I'll explain this deeper. Now, this is how they disguise the attack. They disguise the attack either through an investigation, or they say you're a threat and you need to be monitored or surveillanced, or through the Patriot Act and anti-terrorism laws, or they just say you're crazy and you need to be watched, or they lie and say like you're mentally ill or disabled. Now, there are many components to gang stalking, organized harassment, covert harassment, or political repression. One of the many components are gang stalking, electronic harassment, remote neural monitoring, covert drugging, and psychological warfare. The tactics that gang stalking, covert harassment, organized harassment, or political repression use are many. I will explain them from first the gang stalking level, then the electronic harassment level, then the psychological warfare level, and then the covert drugging level. Now, the gang stalking aspect of the attack consists of being followed by people, vehicles, or having people in front of your house waiting to stalk and harass you, or by air, which means by planes, helicopters, or through tracking devices, which means they could actually put tracking devices on your vehicles or persons, and through other means. I'll explain that later. Now, another component to the gang stalking aspect of the attack is the harassment and the slander and defamation. Now, they could harass you with these people who follow you and stalk you by neuro-linguistic programming, which means they use insults or certain words to agitate you and to let you know that they're there, or they can use gestures, make noises, or use psychological harassment and abuse on you. Now, on the gang stalking aspect of the gang stalking, they would follow you by foot, car, in your workplace, or through aerial, by the air. Now, on foot, you would have the perpetrators, which are either low-level perpetrators who are not in the know of the full gang stalking attack. They just basically got paid to just follow you. There are some of those who are in the know, like they know like the reason why they're following you. And these perps, with today's technology, they could actually get a cell phone call. And the cell phone call with today's smartphones could have your picture and your information and how to agitate and harass you. And then what they will do, they'll follow you wherever you go, or they'll be in places where you frequent the most. So they would have these cell phones. They will communicate with each other through cell phones, and also they would either text or talk with each other over the phone. And they might use code words when they're talking over the phone, or they might use hand signals and gestures or sounds to let other perpetrators know you're in a nearby area. And sometimes there could be like 4 or 9 perps in a local area. Now, when the perps work in groups to stalk and harass you and agitate you, they might be a team leader, someone who's observing the attack. And he's not going to be the one who's engaging in the harassment and agitation or the provoking. He will have the other perps. He will move them around. He'll communicate with them. And then he'll instruct them on what to do and how to do it. Or he'll give them the signal when to do it. And that's why when you get gang stalked, don't focus on the perpetrator that's in front of you doing it. There's probably a team leader in the distance giving him hand signals or communicating with him through the phone. Remember, they're trying to make it look like it's all these people harassing you or the whole environment is against you, but that is not true. So do not fall for that. Now, the perpetrators will also follow you by vehicle or car. So basically, when you're driving your car, the perpetrators will follow you, and what they will try to do is to block you with their cars when you're on the road, or they will try to get you into an accident. Or a convoy of perpetrators will surround your car and follow you and psychologically harass you. They would also try to get you in an accident or bump their cars into your cars so they could get money from your insurance and try to set you up so they could get money from your insurance. Also, police and ambulance will engage in the vehicle harassment of gang stalking. Basically, they will use their vehicles and to wait till you coordinate when you leave a store, or all of a sudden a police car or an ambulance will be parked in front of the store, or they will race down the street as soon as you come out the store. Also, what the police and ambulance will do with their cars is when they get close to your cars, they will beep their sirens and flash their sirens, and soon after they pass away from you, then they will turn off their sirens. So also with the perpetrators, they would stage accidents on the side of the roads. And another thing the perpetrators will do is that as soon as you drive down the road, they have the opportunity to make a U-turn, but as soon as you get in close proximity, that's when they want to do a U-turn. And this is an attempt to stall you. so the other perpetrators could set up in the road in advance. So as soon as you would try to go down straight, the perpetrator will block you by pretending to make a U-turn. Also, with their vehicles, they would use psychological abuse to harass you with vehicle gestures. So basically, like, they will leave their trunk open, or they will have their trunk open, and as soon as you come close to their car, they would slam the trunk closed, or they will bend down near their car to sort of psychologically glitch you, so you could focus your attention on them. And also, when you're about to turn, what they would try to do is have somebody run on one side of your car, and another person try to run on the other side. This is in order to distract you, to put fear in you, to make you think you're about to get into an accident. Like, you almost could have hit this person, but you was focused on this other person while the other person was coming out the other side. So this is another tactic they use. They will try to make you get into accidents. And also, when you in a road, and instead of going into the turning lane to turn, the perpetrators will turn right in front of you when your intention is to go straight. They don't go on the turning road. They will like loop around you, and this could get you in an accident. So be careful when you're on the road. These perpetrators, they're relentless, and they're backed financially by the government. So the government will reimburse them for any financial car damages, but the government is not going to reimburse you for any car damages. And also, with the vehicle harassment, the perpetrators will try to vandalize your car. They will try to vandalize your car, and they would like put glass on the floor where your tire would land in front of your driveway. And also, if you start to notice after being gang stalked, you have some car engine troubles or stuff like that. Yeah, that's them doing their work. And also, they will try to break your windows. So park your car in front of your driveway, or park it where there's a street lamp. The perpetrators are relentless, and this is also a form of financial attack, because maintaining a car costs money. So the perps will try to damage your car, or as soon as you get paid, what they would do, the same day that you get paid, all of a sudden your car breaks down. So now you have to use the money to fix this car from breaking down. So that's what the perpetrators will try to do with the vehicle harassment or any car damage. Also, with the vehicle harassment and car harassment, the gang stalkers would also use vehicles to harass you, psychologically harass you. Like, for example, they use color vehicles to harass you. With certain people, with certain targeted individuals, they use different colors based on their resources that the perpetrators have. For example, they would also use certain types of vehicles with certain signs to harass you. I'm not going to say the colors because some targeted individuals are sensitized to colors, but you know this tactic that I'm talking about. Also, they use city and utility vehicles with certain names and signs to harass you. As soon as you walk out your house, they would do a circle or a U-turn, or they would set up and post up a large convoy of police cars at a store that you usually frequent. This is to let them know, this is to let the targeted individual know that he's being watched. Now, another way they could follow you to harass you is by air stalking. Yes, the gang stalkers and perpetrators would use planes and helicopters and other aerial crafts to harass you. The purpose of this is to scare you, to make you think that you're being followed for a bigger and deeper reason. So now when you go tell other people that you're being followed by helicopters and planes, which is true, they will not believe you, because they would say, why you? Now, this tactic is also a form of psychological harassment, but the purpose of the air stalking is to also follow you. Like, for example, you would be walking down the street, and all of a sudden you would see like a helicopter or plane up in the air at a distance, and as soon as you look up to take a picture of it, it would move very fast and move away. Also, with the air stalking, they could mount directed energy weapons on these helicopters and planes. This is not a joke. You can look up the research. They already have drones and military aircraft, as well as federal agencies with aircraft that have directed energy weapons mounted on them. Also, the police could have LRADs mounted on these helicopters. So that's the reason why you could actually hear voices if they're beaming you with the directed energy weapons. It could sound like it's coming out of the middle of nowhere, but I bet if you look up, you would see this drone or this helicopter move as soon as you spot them. So they also have directed energy weapons mounted on these helicopters, planes, and drones. Also, with the air stalking, they could have radar that could see through your house on these planes and helicopters, and they have the stronger version of the radar, and they could literally spot you inside your house. And my theory on this is that they stain you with either some dye that could only be seen through thermal imaging or infrared imaging, or some form of imaging, and they could actually see you in your house or your building where you specifically are. And the air stalking, another thing they could do with the air stalking is just they could do low level planes circling around your house. This is to harass you. Like as soon as you get out the room of your house, as soon as you get out a certain room in your house, all of a sudden you hear a low level plane pass by. And this happens more than once. This is to psychologically harass you. This plane could see through your house to radar technology and etc. Also, with the air stalking, there are many levels to the air stalking. Like the police, they will use their helicopters. Now, if you see a plane that could stay still, and as soon as you spot it, it starts moving faster, and it's very high to the point where if there's a cloud and it goes through the cloud or above it, that's a federal or military grade plane. And also, there were instances in my experience of gang stalking where they would actually use military grade planes. Like the planes would make like these chemtrail lines as they pass by, and they would be really high in the sky. Like when they would pass by a cloud, they wouldn't pass under the cloud, they would pass above the cloud. And they also have the ability to stay still. And when I would go to a store, I would see these two like big military grade, I think they're C-130s or some big F-16 looking plane, but they can leave a trail of smoke in the back as they pass by. And as soon as I go to a store, I'll see two of these planes circling around. Every time I would go to a certain spot that I frequent, I look above the sky and I would see them. So this is also used to intimidate you. And this is from the highest level of government, which is the military. Only military have those planes that could like fly above the clouds and form like those trail lines, those smoke trail lines that you know what I'm talking about. They look like chemtrail lines, but they're not. Those are the lines that the jet planes and the C-130s make. And also, with the air stalking on the federal agency level, you might see a helicopter, because when I was being gang stalked, I don't mean to take this off a topic from the facts, but when I was being gang stalked, I noticed there was a black and gold helicopter. I never seen that before. And as soon as I looked up research on that black and gold helicopter, it belongs to the U.S. Customs and Border Patrol Agency. They have black and gold helicopters. And also, they have these planes and drone technology as well too, because a lot of people, the first thing they're going to do is jump to say FBI and CIA, but there are also other federal agencies that are involved in the air stalking. ATF, DEA, as well as U.S. Customs and Border Patrol. Also, with the air stalking, what the gang stalkers would do is that when you look at your window at a distance, you will see like 4 or 6 planes just floating in the air. And as soon as you look at one, you'd even turn your head. You just move your eyeballs and it starts moving, because these planes or these drones or helicopters, they equip with eye tracking software and infrared and heating imaging. So from basically like from 2 miles away, they could actually see your eyes moving left and right. Now, for a lot of people, they may think that this is UFOs or aliens. For the record, this is not. This is actually government technology. This is government technology, and they have technology so advanced that it'll be hard for you to think that it's actually real. So to some who don't understand the technology, they will think it's magic, because the United States Marine Corps, they have a plane called the Offspray. You can look that up. It could switch from a plane to helicopter, and it could float in midair. So it's basically like a Harrier jet, and the military has something called a Harrier jet where it could vertically take off, and this plane could float in midair. And also, there's a technique that planes do. It's called stalling. It's basically like braking in midair, the same way like your car would brake in midair, but the plane is moving. The plane would move so slow in midair, you would actually think it's staying still. And as soon as you spot it, then it will gain speed. That's called stalling. But a lot of targeted individuals, they see that, and some of them would actually think, oh, it's aliens or UFOs. For the record, it's not. It's just actually government technology and the stalling technique, and it's either a rotary aircraft like a helicopter at a distance, because helicopters can float in the air too at a distance. Now, the tactics that they use on a gang stalking level when they follow and stalk you is they either harass you, they slander you, they provoke you, they agitate you, they isolate you, they present a false perception of reality to you through street theater. I'll explain that deeper in the psychological harassment level. Also, they know where you are. They also drug and poison you. They psychologically abuse you. They use street theater, and they use noise harassment, and they try to influence you. This is done to set you up, arrest you, or get you kicked out, or to leave a certain place. Now, another aspect to the gang stalking attack is the electronic harassment or directed energy weapons. This can be done through microwaves or the electromagnetic spectrum. Another way this could be done is with sonic weapons. And these devices, I will explain in deeper details what they can do. But to sum it up in short terms, they could cause sleep deprivation and fake psychological disorders. Now, one of the tactics that the gang stalkers use on an electronic harassment level is V2K, or synthetic telepathy. Now, these produce artificial sounds, noises, or voices, and this can be done either through microwave radiation, electromagnetic radiation, or sound or sonic devices. Now, the purpose of V2K, or synthetic telepathy, is to cause sleep deprivation in the targeted individual, put the mind in distress, confuse the targeted individual, or to try to influence the targeted individual. Also, to mess with the cognitive process, or to make you think other people said what you heard. Now, another aspect of the electronic harassment level of gang stalking is using microwaves, ELF, or electromagnetic radiation weapons, also known as directed energy weapons. They could use these weapons to either influence the emotional state of the targeted individual, cause sleep deprivation, make the body restless. Also, they can use these directed energy weapons to radiate a certain part of your body, either while you sleep, or if one of the perpetrators have a portable version of these devices and use them, which are very rare and hard to acquire, the portable versions of these devices. Also, they can use these directed energy weapons to cause stinging sensations in the body or painful headaches. Also, they could use these directed energy weapons to increase suggestibility, hinder cognitive functions or biofunctions. And they could also cause long-term health effects in the targeted individual. Now, another aspect to the gang stalking attack is remote neural monitoring. This can read bioelectric signals, such as from the brain or nerve transmissions. Basically, when your brain sends a message to a certain part of your body, it sends an electrical signal down the nerve. Also, it's used to study your bioelectric signals as you respond to certain situations and reactions. Also, they use remote neural monitoring to augment other components of the gang stalking attack. Basically, they could coordinate it with the gang stalking aspect and the electronic harassment aspect, as well as others I will mention later. Also, the remote neural monitoring could be used for dream manipulation or thought manipulation or emotional manipulation. Yes, it can be done with technology. I'll explain that deeper in this program. Now, one of the many aspects of remote neural monitoring is how it's actually being done. Now, to the contrary, a lot of you think they could actually like see what you see in your eyeball and hear what you hear in your eardrum. That is not true. I will tell you how they do this. Basically, they have meters, sensors, and implants. They could either use either one of the three or all three in conjunction to get information of your bioelectrical information. There are various meters. These meters can be implanted in the nearby area. They can be implanted on objects nearby you, or they can have portable devices, or they can have devices implanted onto you. Now, with the remote neural monitoring, they have various meters and sensors that can pick up different types of information. For example, they have sensors and meters that can pick up vibrational information. Like when you walk or take a step, you produce vibrations on the surface of the floor or the wall. Also, they have sensors and meters that can pick up motion information. I'm sure you see this motion detectors in these bathrooms nowadays. When you walk into the bathroom, the light automatically comes on. That's a motion detector. Also, they have sensors and meters that could pick up heat information. So if the temperature increases or the temperature drops, a meter or sensor can pick that up. Also, they have bioelectric meters. So basically, when any electrical device, whether it be organic or electronic, it could also pick up that information and data when electricity is being activated. Also, they have sound meters. So when sound is produced, they have meters and sensors that could pick up that information. For example, the clap on. When you clap your hands, the light automatically comes on. That's a sound sensor or meter picking up that information. Also, they have cameras. Yes, cameras. They have cameras implanted in the area or nearby or in portable devices that are picking up your information. And these cameras could pick up various data information like your speed and your velocity and how you move. Also, they have radar sensors and meters, and also they have this thing that you can see through walls. It uses radar technology to see through walls. You can look that up on the computer. The police have something like that, and the military. It's a through the wall radar. Look that up for more information. Also, they have pressure meters and sensors. So these meters or sensors can pick up pressure information, like tension, like when you squeeze your fist, or some pressure is applied to the wall, the floor, or any area in the room. They can pick up that information. Also, they have eye tracking sensors and meters. So basically, they could be tracking your eye movements through these sensors and meters, and they could pick up the eye information because the eye moves very fast. So only a computer with eye tracking software and information can do something like that. They have this technology. Also, they could also use a plain and simple sensor and meter, which is just people observing you, and these people could relay the information over the phone to these people who then coordinate the gang stalking attack. These are the type of sensors and meters that are being used. So the trick to remote neural monitoring is to make you think they could actually read like your brain and stuff, but really they're not actually reading it in real time. They're just using these sensors and meters, whether they're portable, implanted, or put somewhere in the nearby area. Now, with the remote neural monitoring aspect, once they receive all your bioelectric or biological information from these sensors and meters that I just described, they then in turn record this information on a computer or whatever database they have, and then in turn they record it as a preset. So say, for example, if you're looking at your favorite food, like for example, say a hamburger, and they record either your sound, your vibrational, your bioelectric information of how you react to the hamburger, then they store it on the computer and database. So they have it stored So say if you're not near a hamburger, but you're thinking about it, your brain waves, whether it be or this information from the sensors, like say your sound, motion, and vibrational information, is going to react in the same range. Like say when they pick up your data information of the when you was experiencing the hamburger, say the meter read at 420. So now you're thinking about the hamburger again, and the meter is going to go off at 420. So they know whenever it goes off at 420, they know that you're actually thinking about the hamburger. Now, I'm not saying that they actually do it by this number code, but that they just basically record your biological information, bioelectric information, and that's how they do it. So now, say if you're thinking about something you like, and the meter always shows up at 320. So now you're in a different location and you're thinking about this. They see on the meter that the bioelectric meter goes off at 320, so they know you're thinking about something you like, and that's how they try to attack you, because they know you're thinking about something that you like because the meter goes off at 320. See, that's how it works. So they're just recording your information through these meters and signals, and then they're using it against you, and they could give you the illusion that they're reading your mind, but they're really not. Now, the purpose of this remote neural monitoring is to monitor your bioelectric signals. It's also used to stop you from thinking deep thoughts or long-term thoughts. Like say when you get into a thinking mode, they can use these sensors and meters to detect that you're either thinking a deep thought or long-term thought. Like when you think deep thoughts, your eyes, they move in a certain way. So therefore, the eye tracking meter or the sound meter could pick up on your heart signals, and your heart signal, like when you're calm, your heart beats a certain way, and they could either use these vibrational meters to pick up your heart information, and then in turn they could signal back to the computer or whatever device they use to receive these signals or from their meters or sensors, in turn to relay the message to, hey, either hit them with a noise campaign or the electronic harassment. So as soon as you're about to think a deep thought, all of a sudden a car horn starts beeping outside, exactly when you're about to think a deep thought, or when you're about to go to sleep, and all of a sudden when you're about to go to sleep, there's someone outside of your house make a loud noise just when you're about to close your eyes and doze off, because they have the meters and sensors that are reading your bio information, and in turn it could tell when your heart rate's going down, when your heart rate's going up, and then in turn it augments other aspects of the harassment. Now, another aspect of the remote neural monitoring, another purpose is it can monitor nerve signals in the body, because the nerves in the body produce electrical signals. So basically when you're about to move your leg, all of a sudden they could like do some noise campaign, or they can hit you with the electronic harassment, because your body produces electrical signals. When you move your body, the nerve sends a message to the part of the body or the muscles to move it. So they're also picking up that information, and that's how they could actually know when you're moving around, when to set up or have a car just automatically park in front of your house. All of a sudden when you walk out the door, they also use this radar meter to know when you're inside your house which room you are in and stuff like that. Also, another purpose is to augment and amplify the electronic harassment and psychological warfare.
Now, remote neural monitoring is also used to give a targeted individual a sense of lost mental privacy, because they could actually tell when you're about to think deep thoughts and etc. So they would either interrupt that with a noise campaign or electronic harassment to give you a sense of lost mental privacy. To many targeted individuals, this could feel like a form of spiritual warfare, or through other TIs who don't really understand the technology, they will think it's coming from a magical sense or things. But this is technology at the end of the day.
Another aspect to the gang stalking attack is covert drugging. Now, covert drugging can slowly weaken you either psychologically, physically, or cognitively, or it could have effects on your emotions. Also, covert drugging can be used to augment effects or other components of the gang stalking attack. Also, the covert drugging can be done through your food, touching, or using pricking devices. So basically, there's some TIs that complain they feel like a sharp prick. I'll explain that later in deeper details.
Now, the aspect of the covert drugging level is how they covertly drug you. Now, they could covertly drug you by using chemicals, powders, or pricking devices or they rub it on your clothes or on your skin. This is how they covertly drug you. And they could do this either through your house, your restaurant, or the supermarket. Now, the purpose of covert drugging is to augment the other functions of the gang stalking attack. Also, it could create false sicknesses to make you think that you're actually really being sick, but you're not actually being sick through natural means. It's through an artificial means. And some of these covert druggings can actually give you like a sharp headache on the side of your head, or they can make certain parts of your body go numb, and also hinder psychological states. So all of a sudden you could get angry, or like you feel like you're drunken but you haven't drunk any liquor, and so forth. So these covert druggings could have the effects of artificial illnesses, and also have the same effects that the electronic harassment has. So people could they could poison your drink in the supermarket. This is the trick that they do. Like you'd actually think it's the supermarket that poison you, but what they could do is they study what type of food you buy, and they already go in the perpetrators, and then they could actually poison the food and put it back on the shelf at the supermarket. And then to trick you, they could use street data to make you think that the supermarket people who work there are in on it, but they're not. Like they'll have a conversation in front of them about you and use some words to sensitize you, and now you think it's the whole supermarket that's in on it, but it's really just a perpetrator who put the food in the shelf because they study what type of food you like. But now on a restaurant level, that's a different story. I don't know about that because there's been instances where you actually have your plate of food at the supermarket, at the restaurant, and you eat it, and all of a sudden you get this sharp headache or you feel dizzy, and you never used to feel that before when you used to eat that type of food, but now all of a sudden you feel like this headache and pain on the side of your head. So they could also poison your food at the restaurant, but maybe they could bribe a person at the restaurant, on that type of level. Now, also, people could actually bump into you and use these pricking and shooting devices to shoot like the chemicals and drugs, either a powder format or a liquid, onto your skin or on your clothes. And then these could permeate through your clothes and then go through your skin and have various effects and sicknesses. So be careful when someone bumps you or you feel like a sharp prick. But please do not walk around ultra paranoid. Now, with the covert drugging, this is when they covertly drug and poison you through either your food, your drink, or anything that comes in contact with your body. Now, the poison or the drugging can either be a chemical, liquid, powder, or some waxy jelly type component, or aerosol spray. Now, how they administer these drugs or poison is either through shooting or pricking devices, or they rub it on your clothes or on your skin, or they put it in your food. Now, when they covertly drug and poison your food, what they do is they study what type of food you like, and by covertly drugging and poisoning your food, this will put fear into you and make you avoid and stop eating the foods that you usually like to eat. So say if you like a can of beans at the supermarket, they would actually put up a can of beans on the shelf that's already been drugged and poisoned. You buy it, you get sick, and then you would actually be scared to eat those beans again. Now, in a restaurant setting, that's a different story because the food is prepared. There's been instances where the chef, the waiter, they would actually give you poor quality food and give you poor waiters who have poor mannerism skills. They do this intentionally, and this is to show like that they have control of your life on a intimate level, even to the point where we control your food and what you drink. And also they could also covertly drug and poison your water. So buy stuff that are sealed. But if you're trying to eat healthy, what you do is you buy your fruits and vegetables at a supermarket, because it's harder to poison food at a supermarket. So this is what they do. This is to put fear in you. Like we could terrorize you on any level of your life, even your food. And that's the way to control you, to let you know that we have this intimate control of your life on every level, from your eat, sleep. And that could really terrorize a targeted individual in the early stages. So please do not be alarmed. Eat healthy. This is a way to also discourage you and stop you from eating healthy, because most healthy foods are not packaged, they're fresh. So this will discourage you from eating healthy, and then you would start eating like packaged processed foods, which are not healthy for you in turn. And once they see the change in your pattern of eating, they would eventually try to poison even your packaged food as well. So please do not be alarmed, or do not be shocked.
Now, another aspect to the gang stalking attack is psychological warfare. This is basically the backbone or the core of the gang stalking attack. The purpose of the psychological warfare is to constantly put you in a state of fear, confusion, or hopelessness. It also consists of no-touch torture. Also, the purpose of psychological warfare is to attack you covertly in public without others knowing so, or this attack is occurring. Also, the purpose of this psychological attack is to turn your environment and everyday stimuli into your enemy. Again, I will repeat this because this is very important. The purpose of this psychological attack is to turn your environment and everyday stimuli into your enemy. Also, to get you falsely diagnosed with a psychological illness that you don't have, or to artificially induce a psychological illness onto you. Also, it's to make you snap, go crazy. And another aspect of the psychological warfare is to amplify the effects of the other components or aspects of the gang stalking attack. Also, to reduce cognitive functions and your autonomy. And one more thing is to focus your attention only on the attack. So now, psychologically, you're only worried about the gang stalking and the harassment every day, all the time.
Now, one of the many tactics of the psychological warfare aspect of gang stalking is directed conversation. Now, directed conversation is when the perpetrators of the attack listen to what you say in the privacy of your house, and then when you're outside, all of a sudden, people you never know or seen mention or say things that you said in the privacy of your house. This is to psychologically overwhelm you. This would make you think, how did these people know what I'm saying in the privacy of my house? And they would also mention things that you do in your house. So now this will overwhelm you and make you think, this doesn't make any sense. People I never seen or know are mentioning things that I do in my house, and also mentioning things that I said in the privacy of my house. And this is to also make you feel like you have no privacy. So now when you're in your house, you would actually be scared to be yourself in your house, because you know you're being watched. And when you know that you're being watched, that would psychologically affect you to not act as you normally would in comfortable private settings. And this directed conversation can also be used and augmented with other aspects of gang stalking. So like when you're walking down the street, all of a sudden people you never known or seen mention something about like what you ate for dinner last night, and that could like freak you out in the early stages of gang stalking. But I suggest you look up more information about that gang stalking directed conversation. Now, another tactic of the psychological warfare component of gang stalking is street theater. Street theater is when a group of perpetrators perform a sketch in front of the targeted individual, either in public or the street. This is to give the targeted individual a warped perception of reality, and also to distort the targeted individual's worldview by presenting the targeted individual a false presentation of reality through these sketches. And these groups of perpetrators can consist of either groups of 1, 2, 10, any number, even 100 if necessary. Now, the purpose of street theater is to make the targeted individual isolated from people, real people, and the real reality, because the targeted individual is being presented with a false presentation of reality, and this false presentation of reality is always negative, constantly negative, and in turn the targeted individual will want to isolate himself or give up on life because everything is always constantly negative. But the truth about that is that this is not the real reality. These are just the perpetrators always being present around to present to you that false presentation of reality. That's why they got to track you. They got to know where you are. So therefore, in turn, they could always be ready to set up the street theater, this constant negative presentation of reality. But that's not the real reality. I will show you a trick later on how to combat that. And in turn, once you're always constantly surrounded by negativity, you'd want to give up on life. And now you play into the perpetrator's hand by accepting this false presentation of reality. I repeat, do not accept this false presentation of reality. Do not even try to react to it. Keep calm. This is not really the true reality. These are just the perpetrators presenting you this false negative reality. In the military, this is called psychological warfare or perception management. So basically, your perception is being managed, and it's being managed to present to you a negative presentation of reality. And when one is constantly surrounded by negativity, they would either give up on life, isolate themselves, or give up on themselves. And that's what the perpetrators of gang stalking want you to do. This is a form of psychological warfare. Think about it. Why would someone you never knew or seen just be automatically vulgar or mean to you? Why would someone you never seen or heard before, someone you never seen or saw before, why would they say stuff that you say in the privacy of your house? You never met this person, you never know this person. This is a psychological warfare tactic. This is all to scare you and make you think this is the real world. But the reality is this is not the real world. That's just a false presentation from the perpetrators. They're constantly waiting for you along the route that you walk, or the route that you drive, or the places that you frequently go to set up the street theater. Because at one point in your life, at one point before you noticed the gang stalking, you never used to see this. Never used to happen. Now all of a sudden you get this negativity surrounded by you. Again, I'm going to repeat this to you because some of you targeted individuals actually think this is the real reality, but it's not. They're presenting you a false presentation, a false presentation of reality. And they could also use perpetrators, your neighbors, even your family members, or they could use public workers. And one thing about presenting this false presentation of reality is that they actually use like government and city workers as well too. They could also stage false accidents, false events, whether positive or negative, but the positive events that they set up are not to your benefit. These positive events, these false positive events that they set up are to lure you into the psychological leash. I repeat, when they set up these false positive events, it is not to your benefit. It is to make you come closer and bring you into the psychological leash so they can control you more. So this is the street theater is basically their way of playing God in your life. But this is not the real reality. and they want you to accept this false presentation of reality. That's why they gotta constantly track you, just constantly surround you with this false reality. But the reality is that's not the reality. There's a trick you could do to find out that it's street theater. There's a tactic you could do, but I'm gonna explain that later. Also, with street theater, one thing that they do is control the magnitude, the frequency, and the intervals of the street theater. Basically, the frequency is how many times the street theater occurs in a certain time. And then, for example, they might do the street theater 7 times in 1 hour. That's the frequency. Also, the duration is how long they do the street theater. They might do the street theater for an hour, 30 minutes, so forth. And then you got the magnitude, which is how strong or aggressive they do the street theater. Sometimes they might do the street theater just soft, and sometimes they might do the street theater real hard. All of a sudden one day you get attacked with the street theater real hard. In the early stages of gang stalking, they would really hit you with the street theater real hard in the early stages. And then sometimes when they see it's not working, they would actually increase the magnitude of the street theater. They would hit you real hard when they don't get the reaction that they desire, or when they want to show that they had some dominance in your life. They would actually increase the magnitude of the gang stalking and the street theater. Also, they also use police, ambulance, and firefighters in the street theater, and even military vehicles. They have helicopters that will follow you, and there'll be some helicopters, whether it be police helicopters, federal agency helicopters, to go in the street theater. This is to overwhelm you. This will overwhelm you to make you think why all these firefighters, ambulance, why they following me for? And that would overwhelm you and also make you feel like all these resources and government powers are coming at a little old you. So this is also to overwhelm you. And also they also use other state agencies too, and government workers as well. Also, with the street theater, it's also meant to discredit you. When they use the government agencies such as the military, the government, the police, the ambulance, and other high-ranking government agencies, this is to overwhelm you. So when you explain your case to somebody would be okay, you're just a regular person. Why would all these police, government, ambulance, and federal agencies waste their resources on you? And that's the whole point of the street theater, when they use the police and the military aspect of it. Also, the civilian aspect of the street theater and gang stalking is so when you actually go explain yourself, you're going to look actually like you're a crazy person, even though that's what's actually going on. That's what's actually going on, but it's also meant to discredit you. They want you to go out and tell people about this because it will make you look crazy. Okay, why you for? Who are you? You're not a politician. You're not a celebrity, and that's the whole point. So it's also make you look crazy when you explain yourself. Now, another aspect to the psychological warfare component of gang stalking is called conditioning. Conditioning is when the perpetrators condition the targeted individual to a certain stimuli. This stimuli is either a gesture, a posture, a word, or a sound. This in turn can be used to agitate, demoralize, or frustrate the targeted individual, whether in public or the privacy of their house. Also, with the conditioning, this could be used to harass the targeted individual. For example, I'm sure many targeted individuals, their perpetrators try to condition them to be sensitized to the coughing sound. I'm sure a lot of TIs can claim this as true. What they would try to do is, first they would cough at you, and at first you wouldn't notice it, and then after a certain amount of time you notice these people only cough when you pass by, or like when you come out of a store, someone will be standing there ready to cough, and then now you're sensitized to it. So now when you walk by, someone could just cough, and that's their way of trying to harass you. So now when somebody really coughs, this is not a perpetrator coughing, just a regular person coughing. So when they cough, you'd actually think they're actually a targeted individual, and that's the whole purpose. Like when they sensitize you to a certain stimuli, the perpetrators will try to sensitize you to a stimuli that is an everyday stimuli. So that in turn, so now you could think your environment is your enemy. The everyday sounds, postures, or words that you hear in your everyday environment, they would try to sensitize you to those words. Thus, in turn, that could actually scare you, make you just want to stay home all day, because now you're gonna think everything is an insult and a harassment against you, which is not true. Also, another form of conditioning is when they try to use colors. Like they would sensitize the TI to various colors. Some would be like, and they do this specifically with the vehicles. Like they would use yellow vehicles or red vehicles. For certain targeted individuals, it's different colors. It depends. And also they would try to sensitize you to a certain word, and then they could use that word to harass you. So in turn, with a targeted individual, they could use words, gestures, postures, or sounds to sensitize you, in turn to use that to harass you. Also, they could also do this in the vehicles. Like another form of sensitizing they would do is they would have one headlight on, and as soon as they come close to you, they would turn on the other headlight. So now both headlights start working. First one headlight didn't work. Now as soon as they come close to you, one headlight will start working. And also what they would do is try to have bright the high beam headlights beaming onto your mirror. And here's a trick you could do to stop that. When you tilt your rear view mirror down, or when you tilt your side mirrors down, all of a sudden the car would leave, because now the light from their headlights are not beaming onto you. So that's one tactic to defeat the brightening with the headlights that they do. Now, another thing they can condition you to be sensitized to is objects. Now, they could either use any object, and what they would do is constantly present this object to you and try to say bad things, or present this object to you in scenarios. So say they could sensitize you to anything. I don't want to say the object because I don't want to feel like I'm sensitizing any targeted individual who's listening to this program. So let's just say any object, for example, object X, because I know some TIs are sensitized to certain things, so I don't want to do any unintentional harm. So say they sensitize you to object X, and whenever you walk out your house, you would see somebody holding this object X in their hand. And whenever you walk out your house every day in the morning for the past 3 months, they will have this object X in their hand, and that's to sensitize you. So now, and also when you come out of a store, or when you're about to walk into the store, they have this object X in their hand, and that's to sensitize you. Or they would say, or what they would do is try to double insult you with 2 stimuli. One is a negative verbal stimuli, and then an object stimuli. So they would say they would cough in front of you, and then after one perpetrator coughs in front of you, another perpetrator will come out of a doorway with this object X in their hand. So now you've been harassed 2 times, one with a cough harassment, and then another one with object harassment. And that's what they would do. And also what they do is they use t-shirts. Like they would have a certain t-shirt with a certain phrase on it to harass you with the words on the t-shirt. And another thing with targeted individuals got to understand is that they could actually get these t-shirts custom made. What they would do is, like, say they would combine directed conversation tactics, something that they heard you say in the privacy of your house, and then go to a t-shirt store and put that on a t-shirt. So now when you walk out your house or when you're in the subway, they would stand in front of you with this t-shirt, and you would be like, how come that's something I mentioned inside the privacy of my house? You see, and that's to scare you. But they actually have t-shirt stores, they have printing stores. You could print anything on a t-shirt or anything. Like, they did this tactic to me once. Like, they would print something on a t-shirt that I said privately in my house, and then all of a sudden I would see this person walking with this t-shirt exactly every time I come outside my house. So that's a tactic they use. Don't fall for that tactic. Also, they could use vehicles and put fake signs on the trucks. One thing that they do is, like, they could give you symbolic threats with t-shirts or scenarios or vehicles. Like, for example, they would constantly drive they would drive a exterminator truck whenever you walk out your job after you finish leaving work. As soon as you walk out the building, they'll have an exterminator truck circle right in front of you or park next to your car. And this happens for 3 months straight whenever you come out to leave work. So that's their way of saying, we're going to exterminate you. We're going to take you out. Or they could do this with a t-shirt. Like, the t-shirt would have like a word that says like death wish. Like, that's their way of, like, telling you, like, we're going to take you out. But they're not telling you this verbally. It's like a symbolic threat. And also they do this with scenarios. Like, they'll have the police, whenever you walk out the train station or something like that, they would have the police have somebody always handcuffed. And as soon as you come close by, they will turn the person around that they handcuff, so you can see the handcuffs on that person's hands. And that's their way of telling you that we're going to arrest you. Like, and that's another thing they do with the conditioning. They could condition you to scenarios where, like, as soon as when you say, for example, when you're driving down the road, and as soon as you come, there's a police car and another car parked in front of that police car. And as soon as you get close to the range of that police car, the police, that's when they want to come out and act like they're giving that person a ticket. So they condition you to these scenarios. Like, that's a way of saying that's going to happen to you. Also, they can condition you to certain scenarios. Like, for example, say whenever you walk out of a food store, there's always a lady, like, spanking her child. And you notice, and whenever you go to any food store, as soon as you come out the store, this is just an example. Whenever you come out the store, there would always be like a lady spanking her child, and she would say, "I told you, you better listen." So that's a way to, like, let you know that they're watching you, and, like, they're trying to control you. Like, they're trying to tell you that you don't listen. So that's the one thing they use. They use, like, these symbolic scenarios to, like, give you a warning that, hey, we're watching you, or this is what's going to happen to you. Now, another tactic of the psychological warfare aspect of gang stalking is that the gang stalkers, they study you and they build a profile on you, because before anybody goes into combat, they study their enemy. And to the gang stalkers, you, the targeted individual, you are their enemy. So they have to study you. There was a phase where they never, like, engaged you in any gang stalking attacks or any severe gang stalking attacks. They surveil you, they study you for a long period of time to see what you like, what you do, how you act. And in turn, they build, like, an attack plan or some plan to manage you or destroy you or control you or even take you out a slow kill way. And with that's why some people realize that, some targeted individuals that realize that the gang stalking just didn't started recently. When they look back into it, it actually started like a few years even before that, when they even started noticing the real deep attacks. Like, sometimes there'll be some mild attacks from like 3 years ago, but you didn't realize it at the time that those were actually gang stalking attacks. Now, I'm not saying everything is gang stalking attack. Is a gang stalking attack, but the gang stalking started long before you even realized it, and that's what a lot of targeted individuals have to know. And where this tactic of studying the targeted individuals come from? It actually comes, the origins of that is from the FBI, psychological profile. Because the FBI, they started doing psychological profiles back in the 1980s. Like they try to map out the psychology or the mental state of a suspect or something like that. But even before that, like a CIA, any investigative agency, before they go in, even the military, before they even go in on an enemy, they study them first. They just don't go in. So that's what actually is being done to the targeted individual. You're being studied and analyzed first before they even hit you with any severe gang stalking attacks and stuff like that. Now, another tactic that the gang stalkers use on the targeted individual is manipulation. There are 4 or 3 types of manipulation. One type of manipulation is fear manipulation. The other type of manipulation is desire manipulation. And another one is called distraction manipulation. And another form of manipulation is called guilt manipulation. Now, with fear manipulation, they use all these components of gang stalking, whether it be the gang stalking, the remote neuromonitoring, the electronic harassment, the covert drugging, or the psychological warfare aspect of gang stalking, to put fear in you. They would use fear they would manipulate you with fear in order to intimidate you and make you scared. Because when they use fear, and they also study what you're scared of. And if they don't know what you're scared of, they will try to make you scared of something that you was never scared to begin with, through the sensitizing and the conditioning, or through the harassment. So they would actually use fear manipulation to intimidate you. And also, another form of manipulation is called desire manipulation. Now, with desire, that means what you like. With desire manipulation, they would only use this when they feel like when the fear manipulation or other forms of manipulation are not working. Like when they feel like they're losing their hold on you, they would use something that you like in order to bring you back into their psychological leash. Like, say if you like, for example, hamburgers and stuff like that. If you like hamburgers, they would like have somebody stand in front of you eating a hamburger, or they would have people talking about a hamburger in front of you so you can listen into the conversation. This form of manipulation, desire manipulation, is used to reel you back in. So when they lose their hold on you, they will try to bring you back in psychologically with desire manipulation. Again, they use desire manipulation to psychologically bring you back into their psychological leash or their field of influence. So say if you're a guy, you like pretty girls, they might actually put like a pretty girl in front of you, but this is to actually like bring you back into the psychological leash. And also with desire manipulation, they could actually invert that around. So say if you like something, they could actually in turn use fear manipulation to make you hate or fear something that you like or desire. So say if you used to like hamburgers, now they could actually make you hate hamburgers or even make you fear it, because they could actually in turn use it to sensitize you in an adverse way to hamburgers. So now you're afraid of hamburgers. And that's what they could also do with, say if you're a guy, they might actually like use a female, put a female right in front of you, and she would like play you or ignore you. This in turn is to discourage you from talking to real females, not perpetrator females. See how that works? And they could also do this for female targeted individuals. Like they could actually make you hate guys or whatever. And in turn, many targeted individuals claim that they could actually use desire manipulation to make you hate the opposite gender in order to turn a targeted individual gay or homosexual. Now, but this is based on behavioral modification. If they're doing that, then they're actually trying to modify your behavior for experimental reasons. So if that's the case, if they're trying to change your behavior pattern by making you hate something, then it's actually like a form of behavior modification or experimentation that's going on against your will. Now, another form of manipulation is called guilt manipulation. And guilt manipulation works in two ways. The first one is they would actually try to make you feel guilty or try to justify the gang stalking based on something that you did bad in your past or something that you did in your past. Like, say, for example, you did something in your past bad, and then the gang stalkers will try to trick you and make you think that this is the reason why you're being gang stalked. Now, here's a trick with that. Do not believe that at all. The gang stalkers would they would actually find out that you did something bad in your past, and then in turn use directed conversation to announce that to you, that, hey, this is the reason why you're being gang stalked. And then in turn you would think that, oh, this is the reason why I'm being gang stalked. But that's not true. Do not fall for that trick. Because if you did something bad, there's something called due process, the legal system. So, and why would they have all these planes and helicopters, all that stuff, all these perpetrators, all these electronic harassment, just for something little and simple in your past? So do not fall for that. So don't fall for that trick whatsoever. That, oh, because this is the reason why you're being gang stalked. So after year after year after year, you're being gang stalked because of something that you did bad in your past, something little and simple. Do not fall for that again. Now, another form of guilt manipulation is when they might try to assume or trick you that you might do something bad in the future, something that you never did, and they will use directed conversation to announce to you that you might do something in the future bad, and this is the reason why we're gang stalking you. First of all, I want you to take time and analyze that. They're gang stalking you because they're tricking you into thinking that you might do something bad in the past, in the future, and that's our reason for gang stalking you. Do not fall for this trick again. Do not fall for this trick. This is a trick. So now, because this is how the whole threat assessment thing works. They trick you into thinking that, hey, we feel that you might be a threat later on in the future, so this is our reason to gang stalk you and do all of this, to come up with a plan to neutralize the threat. But here's the thing about it though. How can you be a threat when you never actually committed a bad act in any shape or form? So just on the assumption that, hey, one day you might be a threat is a reason for us to gang stalk you. That does not make any sense. Again, to all you targeted individuals, do not fall for that trick. Think about it. How is harassing you, agitating you every day, 24/7 a day, how is that preventing a threat? When it actually works the other way around, it would actually make somebody a threat. You see? So now they would actually go around your workplace and everything and tell people, you're a threat, but they're not telling these people that they're covertly agitating you and harassing you. You see that? And then the only thing people see is the behavior. Now, with that, here's the thing about with the threat assessment thing and the guilt manipulation. Now, the gang stalkers, they could actually go in your workplace, and with this threat assessment, legally they could say they could go anywhere where you go in public, the workplace and stuff like that, and say you're a threat. But here's one thing though, they don't tell these people that they're actually covertly harassing you and following you and agitating you for the sole purpose to harass and agitate you and even take you out. Now, these people, these genuine, real people who are not a part of the gang stalking, they don't see the covert harassment. They only see you, they only see your reaction to it, and your reaction to it might be, you look angry, you look depressed. So now when these gang stalkers go around and tell these people, you're a threat, they're looking at you like, oh, why are you so angry and stuff? And they would actually believe the gang stalkers But one thing the gang stalkers don't tell them is that we're making him the threat by constantly agitating him, harassing him, covertly poisoning him, and psychologically abusing him or her. See? So now they're tricking everybody that you make contact with that you might be a threat in the future, but they're not informing these people that they're the ones who are actually, messing with you. And in turn, say if you do react or jump in a bad way, all people see is you reacting to it, but they don't see the harassment, because the harassment is covert, and it's very hard to prove. Now, another form of manipulation is called distraction manipulation. Now, distraction manipulation, the sole purpose for distraction manipulation is to misdirect your energy or your purpose at something else. Like, for instance, the perpetrators might constantly have people ask you stupid questions, and in turn, these stupid questions will agitate you, and in turn, they'll make you angry, but they'll make you angry at the street level perpetrators, which have no value to the higher level of gang stalking. And also with distraction manipulation, it's also meant to have you waste your resources, your time, your energy, your money on small stuff. Like, they'll do these little small petty attacks. Like, for example, they'll throw garbage on the front of your property, or they'll break like your car window. Like, they would actually vandalize your car and your property. This in turn is to distract you financially. So now you're wasting your money on buying like car windows because they vandalize your property and stuff. And also with the distraction manipulation, it's also meant to have your energy or your attention focused at something else. So now just the gang stalking attack in itself as a whole is a form of distraction manipulation, because it's distracting you from your real reality and your real purpose by putting this artificial, false, negative reality in front of you, which is fictional, courtesy of your government, whether it be state or federal agency or both in conjunction, to present to you this false presentation of reality to keep you occupied with a negative, false reality. Well, when the truth is there's a real reality going on of happiness, love, and prosperity, but you're being occupied and distracted with this fictional reality, which is being orchestrated by some high-level case manager or a control panel gang stalker, as many would refer to as. And the people who are in the field, the perpetrators on the street level, they have no value. And these are the ones who do the street theater, and so they're constantly distracting you with this fake presentation of reality. So that's the distraction manipulation in itself, the whole gang stalking program. Another psychological tactic that the gang stalkers use is called a force multiplier. Again, I repeat, a force multiplier. This will give you the illusion that more than one person is actually involved in the gang stalking attack. Sometimes you could go to the mall and all of a sudden it would make you think that everybody in the mall is involved in the gang stalking attack. But here's the trick in that. What they do is they know the route that you're going to take around the mall, or the real perpetrators of the gang stalking, they take certain positions at points of the mall. And what they could do is they could actually have genuine, real people that are at the mall to help them participate in the attack. And as soon as you pass by, they will give this real, genuine person a hand signal, and then this real, genuine person would actually do like a gesture or say a word that they sensitize you to, and in turn you would actually think this person is a gang stalker. But the reality is this person is not a gang stalker, and this person does not know that what he just did was meant to hurt you. But the real perpetrator, he sees your reaction to it. And now if you get into a fight or argument with this person who did the posture, who's not a real gang stalker, but he was just instructed to do the posture or say the word that you're sensitized to, he's just standing at a distance watching you reacting in a negative way. And then in turn, he could actually get these real genuine people to call the police on you, or even help him in the future with the gang stalking. And that's the illusion of a false multiplier. Now, there are some cases in early stages when they could actually bring like 20 or 40 perps. The more perps they bring to conduct street data or the harassment, they have to get these low level people, like, and they pay these people less. Like the gang stalkers that are actually like organizing the gang stalking and coming up with the plan, those are the ones that get paid the money. The ones on the street and in the field, they get paid less. And there are some street level gang stalkers who are in the know of the plan. And then you got the ones who are just instructed, like all they just do is like they just supposed to do this and that. They don't actually know like the whole deeper plan and stuff. And these are the low level gang stalkers that get paid like peanuts or crumbs, basically. So that's the illusion of a false multiplier. They can make you think that everybody's in on it, but the reality is not. And sometimes it could just be 4 real gang stalkers involved. But if you're in the subway, they could have if each of them could get 4 people, 4 real people who are not gang stalkers to participate in it. So 4 times 4 would be 16. So now they would actually give you the illusion that there are 16 people involved in your gang stalking, but the reality is that it's only 4 genuine, real gang stalkers that are involved in your harassment, but they got 4 people each to help them in the gang stalking. But these people might not even know that what they're doing is meant to hurt you and stuff. So there's really 4 genuine gang stalkers in the area, but they had 4 real people who are not gang stalkers participate in the attack, whether they know it's directed at you or not. So, but now you think it's actually 16 people, but that's not true. So they also do this illusion of a false multiplier. So be aware of that. Also, there are many and various types of psychological tactics that the gang stalkers use. The list goes on, but I want to continue on to other segments of my factual presentation of gang stalking.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Here's my email address for any targeted individual to contact me. Yes, only targeted individuals. If you have any questions about the gang stalking attack or if you have questions about solutions and reliefs to the gang stalking attack, then please contact me at this email. Now, when you contact me from email, I want you to use your real government name. Like on the letter, when you email me, put your real name and the state that you live in. That's all. I don't need your street address. I don't need to know what city you live in. Just your name and the state that you live in. And also, I need you to when you contact me on email, I need you to make the questions not very long, and I don't need to really know your life story. Now, you could give me a brief description of your attack, but I don't need anything that's very long. And when you ask the questions, make the questions short and brief. I would only allow you to ask 5 questions, and please give me some time to respond to your questions. I'm not gonna if you email me one day, I probably might respond to you in 3 or 4 days. I'm not going to respond to you exactly the same day you email me, but I will contact you. So please, and and any targeted individual, if you feel so hopeless that you might do something like suicide or anything stupid or violent, please contact me. I do not want you to do anything stupid like suicide or anything violent. If you feel you're going to do something, like that, then please contact me. But I don't want you to do anything stupid. Your life is valuable. Please don't let these cowards trick you into thinking that your life is not valuable. Contact me as soon as possible, and I will contact you as soon as possible too. But please do not do anything stupid.